watching live coverage of the Whataburger Bassmaster Elite at Neely Henry Lake, sponsored by Abu Garcia.
Welcome back. Continued coverage. Want to welcome all our viewers that have been watching all morning long on FS1. This is the Whataburger Bassmaster Elite at Neely Henry in beautiful Gadsden, Alabama. The scene for our sixth stop of the 2021 Bassmaster Elite Series. And what a showdown it has been here halfway through this tournament. Our tournament leader, if you look at 1, 2, and 3 atop the leaderboard, all searching down their very first Elite Series victories. Actually, top 4 all searching down their first Elite Series victories. And rounding out our top 5, a 2-time Elite Series champion and a former Bass Nation national champion, Paul Mueller. But Ronnie, this Derby, you know, last tournament, it seemed it was all about, you know, hitting the home run. But man, you got to be consistent to hang in this Derby.
Yeah, definitely. A bunch of doubles will go a long ways at Neely Henry, and we see that with the 3 guys at the top. Brock Mosley, obviously the day 1 leader. Todd Auten and Gerald Swindle sticking to what they do best. I didn't even have to call Todd Auten, didn't have to call Swindle to know exactly what they were catching them on, because this is their comfort zone. A bladed jig for Todd Auten and a buzz bait, and probably we'll see a jig at some point for Gerald Swindle, but all of them feeling good and all of them at the top of the leaderboard right now.
Always good to spend the second day of an Elite Series event with you, Ronnie, here on this beautiful Saturday. But let's make it better with our Toyota Midday Report, and started off with a former Bass Nation national champion and a 2-time Elite Series champion, Paul Mueller. Ronnie, we talked about it early in the week, a popular pick in fantasy fishing. Everyone kind of saying, I'm not sure why I'm picking it, but it feels like a Mueller Derby. They were right.
They were 100% right, but they were worried this morning, very worried. Slow start, weren't quite sure what he was doing. He was fishing that shad spawn on the riprap, and then he pulled offshore to this shallow hump. Still throwing in Squareville now, but it's on cover we cannot see. And Mueller caught 4 fish, but all small ones. And then he made a big difference maker late on Fox Sports 1.
Most of this tournament, we've seen anglers throwing moving baits, and I saw Mueller making a few adjustments throughout the morning, trying some different baits, and I think that's a lot what we're going to see as we run into the final 2 days of this tournament. A lot of adjustments, and here's a guy that you would have expected to be in the mix, the mega himself, Clint Davis, a former Forest Wood Cup champion.
Coosa River native, lives down in Montevallo, right there on the shores of Lay Lake. He said if he locked down to Lay Lake right now, if that was even possible for this event, it would take him an hour to do all the work he needed to do because he knows the Coosa so well. And he's proven that on Neely today. A little bit of a slow start. Had some competition on his first area when the shad spawn was happening, but has since rebounded. Really keyed in on spotted bass here compared to some guys catching a mix of both.
A relatively small playing field this week, around just under 12,000 acres. And with that in mind, it makes our cut even more important. You've got to stay in the top 48 to keep your tournament alive and move on to a very rare semifinal Sunday. And here's a guy that we need to spend every semifinal Sunday, every championship Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever day it is. It's Gerald Swindle, and man, that was a heartbreaker to start the day. But the good news is, Ronnie, it got better, and it got better in a hurry.
Happy anniversary.
Yes, indeed. Gerald Swindle kicked it off with a lost fish. Not how you want to start. Wished Lulu a happy anniversary and then got to work in a big way. Hey, he said, if I can get 3 fish early on this buzzbait, I will lock it in my hand, and that is what he's done, and he's caught some key ones even without shade late in the afternoon.
This tournament, it's amazing to me. If you look at the 2 differences between the Fork tournament and this event, it's the tale of 2 different free fishes. Coming into Fork, you had anglers that had such good free fishes. They didn't want to change what they were doing. They locked that technique, that approach into their hand, and it hurt them. This time around, making adjustments has been key. And our next angler, Brock Mosley, a 4-time Elite Series bridesmaid, but a guy that literally said to me, I got lucky yesterday, but he also said he'd rather be lucky than good any day.
Yeah, what a spot!
If it wasn't for Seth Fighter, Brock Mosley may be having the best Elite Series season possible, in contention in Knoxville. Turns around, finished the second and pick win. makes the long run at the Sabine and finishes second there as well. Rod Mosley is on a roll this year and really was surprised, 16-15, and he was just hoping to catch a bass or two on day one, given the conditions of practice. And he bit off more than he could chew, but he's handling it well on day two so far.
Here's another guy who is a longtime veteran of this sport, a 5-time Classic qualifier. And man, just like Mosley, there is not a bass fishing fan in the world that wouldn't love to see Todd Otten finally put his hands on that coveted blue trophy.
It's really cool to see some anglers, especially veterans that haven't gotten an Elite Series trophy, just feel so confident with specific techniques, Mercer, and be able to lock that in their hand and go to work at the highest stage with the most pressure. And Otten has done that, catching 2 big ones on the chatterbait today, including this one, 4.5, maybe a 5-pounder, may rival the Phoenix Boat's big bass of the event so far.
That a giant fish and a giant move in our leaderboard for Todd Otten. But talking about techniques, you nailed it, Ronnie. I mean, we've seen it all season long with different anglers finding success in the way they fish best. And I think that's exactly what we're seeing here this week with Todd Otten. A tournament, not so much him working towards the tournament, but the tournament working towards him.
My eyes just got real big because I thought that was Gerald Swindle throwing a buzzbait, but no, Todd Otten with a little afternoon switcheroo here, throwing a topwater, may not be a buzzbait, maybe a whopper plopper and that style bait.
Have to check and make sure that that is not a bladed topwater jig. I mean, that's about the only thing you see him throw, it seems.
He has the box in his tackle box labeled bladed jigs for every technique, and he just has to figure out, so he has more confidence when he opens it up.
Now looking at Todd Otten and Paul Mueller, and no matter how this tournament works out for Mueller, he has a cushy future ahead of him. His son Waylon is 5 years old and has already told me he's taking my job when he is 7 years old. So 2 years from now, Mueller will be kicking back and just enjoying the, well, you know, the fruits that come with our labor, Ronnie.
Hooked up right now as well.
I didn't like that.
Oh boy, the old around the light post. Haven't seen that since David Fritz.
Yeah. On this very river system.
Yeah. Still beckons the same question I had when I was a little kid, laying on the floor watching somebody hand their rod around a light post. Why not remove the light post?
Exactly.
Oh, thank you, Jesus. Now we're talking. Thank you, Jesus. Check that out. Shaky head. I mean, it is crazy. You just put a bait in front of them. Square bill and a shaky head today. That's a good one there. I'm gonna back off here for a minute. We got a call.
It's not gonna be hard to call for him. He's got a 12-ouncer in there.
Check this out.
It's gonna be basically
Think they're eating?
3-pound colo. It's 2.5 at least.
He's got a shad right in his big belly. It's probably a post-spawn fish. I've been trying to figure out if they're pre or post, and I think they're post. I'm just gonna stick them in here. On this side, we gotta get that little one out. That's an easy call, at least, for that one. And actually, the next one's an easy call, too.
Mueller went from out of this thing to he's gonna be with this call right at the lead, neck and neck. Only 2:11 behind right now. That fish looked like a 3 1/2, 3 3/4 maybe. That's exactly what his last catch was as well. So back-to-back big ones. And Mueller's going to be up there fighting with Todd Otten for the lead.
One nice thing about that catch too, Ronnie, is you saw what he caught it on. I mean, he's not catching on a reaction bait. The hookup percentage is going to be better. You would assume your conversion rate a little better.
boat,
But
baby.
speaking of that, let's join Brock Mosley.
Yeah, let me hit it right at the boat.
This is going
Fat
to be
spot.
some
So-
good drama for semifinal Sunday and
fat
championship Monday, that we're going to have 3 anglers within just ounces of each other right now for the lead, halfway through day 2.
Ain't very long, but that sucker
Mo-
is healthy.
Mosley 1 ounce off the lead. And you could just fight your fish that way. I mean,
I don't
the
know,
hook
but
set
it's
was
not
a
long.
second.
But that sucker is stocky.
The fight was another second. It was a total 3-second exchange. Advantage Mosley.
It's got a pound and 3/4 fish to call. Well, our leaderboard, no matter what it says right here, it just got real tight. There it is, updated. That Cole should put Brock Mosley just into the lead, but just by ounces over Mueller, who just jumped Todd Otten. And Todd Otten, 14 seconds ago, was in the lead, Mercer.
Last event, we were looking at culls by pounds, but these culls this time around are ounces. But at the end of the day, the arithmetic works out the same, Ronnie. $100,000 for our winner and a coveted blue trophy. And it's just day number 2.
You have a full-time job and you want to be a full-time angler. Don't waste time scouting. You want to catch fish. That's where Garmin comes in. Our mapping with Navionics data